Welcome to the Story of Immortality. You're about to enter a magical world. We invite you to savor the feeling of peace, love, and wisdom as it opens your eyes to your true self, to reality itself. The sessions are designed to uplift you as you access the subtle, eternal spiritual universe that moves within this physical world. To take maximum benefit from this series, we recommend the following important tips. Sit in a quiet place where you can be alone for an hour. We ask you to take this time out and be with yourself with no distractions. Sit with your spine straight, either in a comfortable chair or on the floor. This will ensure that the energy flowing in your body will support what you're hearing. Keep your phones in silent mode and away from you in another room for the whole hour. We encourage you to keep your camera on. Our experience has taught us that other participants will be inspired to see you. We will record these sessions. Only the speakers and not the participants will be recorded. 5 languages are available for translation. To select a language, click on the interpretation button, and then you can opt for Hindi, Spanish, French, Telugu, or Tamil by clicking on one of them. This is our registration link. It is not mandatory, but if you would like to receive the recordings and other information, then do register.
Om Shanti. Welcome to the Story of Immortality, presented by Brahma Kumaris. Today is our episode 18, The Importance of a Spiritual Study. So now let's see the flow of today's program, and then Sister Shireen will be with us and she will introduce us today's guest speaker. Om Shanti.
This program, The Story of Immortality, will enlighten you through insights, visuals, and meditations. We will begin soon with 15 minutes of sharing with a senior teacher. Then Sister Shireen or Sister Dorothy will make a 30-minute presentation, interspaced with 2 meditations that unwrap the book. Lastly, we will address questions from participants for 10 minutes.
Om Shanti, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure being with all of you again. And so today our special guest is Sister Meredith. Meredith Port from Miami. Meredith, there she is. Welcome. Welcome to our community, the Story of Immortality community. We are so happy to be with you here today. So Meredith has been practicing the teachings of the Story of Immortality for about 37 years, Meredith?
Almost.
Almost. Okay, I got it right. I got it right.
36, just a few months ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Welcome. So I'm very happy you're in my life. So to give you a little bit about Meredith, Meredith recently retired. She used to be a producer for a television show in Miami. I'm not sure what it was called, but she was a producer. And so she has been in the field of media all her life. So Meredith, welcome.
I'm very happy to be here. You and I go back quite a few years. I was trying to think, like 25 years. Is that possible?
Yeah.
At least 20, more than 20.
The first time I met you was in Oxford. We went for a Florida retreat in Oxford.
We used to do a lot of that, didn't we? A lot
Yes.
of retreats in Oxford.
Yes.
Hopefully again.
So I have a question for you. So when you started, you were a producer.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a very hectic lifestyle. So how did you incorporate this spiritual lifestyle into your professional life?
Well, when I started, I wasn't yet. Yes, it was very, very hectic. I was doing a live show 5 nights a week. And, it was an hour show. I had a co-host. I was the co-host with another man, a wonderful special man. And it was very, very stressful. Even though I loved it, I didn't think it was stressful, but there was like a pressure every single night. You had to look a certain way, and guests sometimes didn't show up or they canceled, and you had to be prepared. So when I came into this, it wasn't exactly like I came into this knowledge. You get introduced, and then you have to start kind of making some effort, but I wasn't yet sure that this was my practice, though I loved it. I did start to see changes in me pretty quickly. I would go into the dressing room before the program, and there was always that pressure, kind of a little nervousness. And I would just sit there and meditate, and I had never meditated really before. And when I would go onto the set, I would feel different. I would just feel different. I was calm inside. I wasn't nervous. And that really, it didn't sell me on it, but I knew that it was working, that it was helping.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's wonderful. So tell me, as the days progressed, or the weeks, or the months, or the years, when did you really start thinking of this as a spiritual study that you need to study?
What happened was, just a little background. I was, as I think you probably know, the first student, just about, or really the first there were a few people coming at the meditation center, the Raj Yoga Meditation Center in Miami. And with, of course, our wonderful teacher, mentor, Veronica. And I thought this was just an interesting place. I knew I felt different, and I could just show up once in a while. I was busy. I had a 4-year-old daughter at the time, and I could just show up whenever I felt like it. I didn't think it was a practice or any kind of a way of life or thinking. And this is interesting to me because I would come whenever I had a second, and I'd feel good and I'd leave. But I thought I had gotten the knowledge and I could be on my way, and just show up sometimes. And one day, another student, I can remember it so well, we're standing outside the center. This was a different center before we moved into the one we're at now. And she looked at me, she said, "You don't come regularly." So I said, "No, I don't. I didn't know I had to." She said, "How are you going to make any progress if you just show up once in a while?" That was a wake-up call, Shireen, to me, because I had no idea that a practice meant that you had to really be regular. And from then on, I became more regular. And I said, okay, I have to come once a week, twice a week, more days, as much as I could. I would steal away from work during lunch, when people take their lunch hour, come for afternoon, lunchtime classes. And it's so interesting because this person, who's a wonderful person and loves the Brahma Kumaris, she didn't continue.
Oh, wow.
But she was the messenger for me. She changed my life. I guess someone would have told me that I needed to be more regular eventually. So regularity, consistency with your study it's really, to me, urgent.
Right. So in your work, what immediate benefits did you see?
I was saying about the piece, and it wasn't just peace on the air doing a show, and know what it's like to do TV because you've been doing a lot of this for a long time now as well. But it was a confidence that I had and a feeling of this to me really also changed me. I was able to connect with people in a different way, in a deeper way. It was like a soul to soul. I started to realize it wasn't about, oh, tell me about your latest movie, and often trying to ask tough questions. That was very popular in those days, to ask the tough questions that would kind of shock the person, what was the point of that? But I didn't understand that then. It was really more what I learned through the meditation and the practice was, how can I really connect with a person and go deeper and really bring help, be there to assist and maybe bringing out something spiritual.
And so it became them, right?
Yeah, their higher self. It didn't mean hiding things. They would often start sharing things to tell you about how they grew and how they learned. And then it was such a good feeling on the air with people that it just became part of my life to feel, I'm here for something higher. I'm not here just to we used to say, oh yeah, you asked the tough questions. That was a great interview. Almost the meaner and more aggressive you could be, people like that. And I realized then through the meditation, that's not what it's all about. I'm not an investigator.
It's interesting what you're sharing. It's interesting what you're sharing. Maybe they should teach this in broadcasting school, right? So you can actually get something out of people instead of bombarding them with tough questions. See them as a soul and they'll open up to you.
I think some of my best interviews that I've ever had, I mean, not me being the best, them being the best, where they really shared deep things that were beautiful things, was when that connection was really happening. And this feeling, and just a feeling of making a person feel at ease and feel comfortable with you, so they become your friend. And again, it doesn't mean that you're hiding things. Again, I'm not an investigator. I was never an investigative reporter, so I really didn't have to go after some kind
right.
of
You didn't have to go after story or corrupt practices and stuff like that. Right.
Thank goodness.
Thank you for that. Right. No, also thank you for all the people who do it. I do have a question for you. So you had a young family, you had a young daughter and a husband. How did this whole practice, how did you integrate it? How did you integrate your spiritual study into your family life?
What happened at the beginning was, it's almost like you go through a change. You're just like, I was one way, and then the next week I was different. I immediately made some changes in my life, not all the changes, but I became a vegetarian very quickly. And then I also was, taking more time to meditate. And it was very difficult for my husband, not just for a while, because he said, but you're not the person that I married. What happened to you? You're not even not drinking, giving up drinking was very difficult, because people, I think maybe it's changed now, but it would be like you go out, people expect you to be drinking.
It hasn't changed.
That you're social.
No, my sisters tell me all the time that it's such a socially accepted. Before it wasn't even in the Indian community, but now everyone drinks.
It's interesting because I worked with a man that actually had a very big drinking problem and was a member of AA. And he taught me something when I told him, I shared with him that I'm not drinking anymore. And I wasn't a big drinker, but you get your glass of wine. And he said, always, wherever you go, always order a drink, a soda or club soda, which is what I always drank, and so people, they think you're drinking. They kind of feel like you're drinking, or they feel that you're not just standing there with nothing. And that'll make them more comfortable. And he said, that's what people, I don't know if all people in AA do that, but that was a method that he used. So people wouldn't bother you.
Right. I always feel sorry for people in AA, because people, it's such a socially accepted form of celebration. And then you get all these people who are trying to get off drink, and there's drink flowing around. It is hard. But that's besides the point. Let's stick to this.
Right. The issue, right. Oh, and how my life changed with my
right.
I think there were things that they saw. My daughter was totally open. She was 4 years old. So whatever I learned, it was, oh, okay, this is great, Mom. This is great, And I remember telling her something, and I know I've shared this at the center. She said, like a lot of the kind of old things that, from the past was like the old, and again, I'm not putting down religions at all because they have wonderful knowledge. But she said, is that kind of like old news? And what the Brahma Kumaris are teaching is sort of like the new news. I think others are getting new news today too, people on spiritual practices today. The world is changing. So I felt that she understood that the Brahma Kumaris had something very special to offer. And peace, learning how to be peaceful and to be content in your life is just big for people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so of all of the study, right, we have different aspects of the study. What resonates with you?
Out of the whole, there's no end.
Okay, one or two.
Okay,
Top one or two.
Well, for me, it's that I can keep changing, that there's no end to what I can become. And I don't think I ever experienced this in my life, until I came to this, this practice, which is that, okay, I'm not there yet, obviously, as most aren't, but okay, there's tomorrow. There's another day. And yeah, I made this mistake, but I have to keep going and keep learning and being my better, higher self. It's just, to me, I just marvel at it all the time. And I say how fortunate I am that I can be in a practice that it teaches me this every single day and that supports me in changing. And so I think that to me is key, to my, just that things are, and that no matter what I go through, there's always, it'll always work out. That I've been through some heavy things, like I'm sure everybody, has. If you get to an age in life, you've been through some things, even if you're young, and the things will somehow work out. And everything that I've been through always worked out. And I can look back and go, you know what, it worked out and it taught me something. And I grew, and I really, I feel like I've been able to grow through the painful parts of my life. So those, and of course, I also, the whole spirit that we are these spiritual beings and we can connect to the divine spirit, that was just a wake-up call to me. I understood being a spirit or a soul, but God was very hard for me, the idea of a divine presence or divinity or supreme soul, because I didn't grow up with any religion. My parents they didn't talk about that. They were uncomfortable, especially my mother. And so that was hard for me at first because I didn't really have this, some people have, oh God, I have a concept. I didn't really have a concept of that. So that took time, but it happened,
But tell me about your relationship with God now. Is it too personal?
Right. No. I feel like my relationship is like about this just support, that he's there and that I can just feel his presence, not all the time because I forget, but I can feel as soon as I tune in, and it isn't like I feel this being is up there somewhere, talking to me. It's just like a feeling of well-being and that I'm okay and that everything is good in my life. And I'm noticing now that the more that I am appreciative of my life and of him being in my life, and the more that I stop depending upon myself for answers, the more I get these, they're not messages, like I get a feeling like a message from him. And so I would say my friend, my father, loving father, I would say that relationship is that he cares so much about me, whether I'm, kind of fallen off that day or something. And I don't feel that I have a lot of suffering anymore. I never had suffering, but kind of little bad moments in life.
Right.
That, but I just feel that they're much lighter. I go, okay, I get it. I should have done this, or I should have done that, or whatever,
All right.
So there's a lot more I could say, but I think, yeah, right.
Thank you so much, Meredith. We'll invite you back again.
Thank
we
you.
are to be on the other side. You're the one interviewing all the time. Now,
You're a great interviewer. You really are. You've been doing this too. Yeah. You know,
so
and
thank you
I'll just
so
say
much
one
for
more thing
taking
about the practice. The more you practice, like you've been practicing doing this, you know, I had to practice. It was my work every day, you know. The more you practice, the more comfortable and confident you are, you know, and the more you can learn about how to be better. If you don't
Right.
practice, you don't go to classes, you don't do that, you can't, you know, it's hard to really improve.
All right. Thank you so much. So now we will have Sister Dorothy. Sister Dorothy, show us your divine face. There she is. Welcome.
Thank you. It was such a nice interview, and I really enjoyed Meredith's sharings. And it reminded me of when I was in retail. She was talking about how she would go on the set and she was all of a sudden calm and cool. And I remember I was in the clothing business and I had to meet salesmen, and I was always edgy. But after about just a few weeks of this Raja Yoga, I could go in there and it was different. All of a sudden, it's like my lenses had changed, and I'm wearing different lenses today too. So, but you know what I want to talk about today is Raja Yoga and the practice, but also, Shireen, I want to really focus on meditation and soul consciousness, because sometimes I think we tend to give so much knowledge that that we forget about the meditation. And some people have come to me and they said, but I'm not sure I'm doing this right, or I'm not feeling anything. But I want everyone to know that it's not that you get this electric bolt through your body. It's kind of like when you go outside to get some sun, and then at the end of the day, you realize, oh my God, I got sunburn. Or you're working in the garden all day, and the next morning your muscles ache. Well, meditation is like this. We begin to accrue power very subtly, but you have to just stick with it, enjoy the practice, as Meredith was saying, and keep moving on and experiencing the very best. So we're going now to be starting our presentation. There we are. So today we're going to focus on the first part of our presentation on power. And yes, we are nonviolent. So when we talk about power, we're not talking about military power, political power, power from physical wealth, but we're really talking about being powerful over the self, or what we could say, being self-sovereign, controlling the way I feel, controlling the way I am being, controlling everything about myself, because the aim is to be a better person, the highest me, the highest you that you can be. So to become elevated beings means to be self-sovereign and to be able to share that with others. So not just for me, but really for the world, everyone in the whole world, to be able to take some kind of benefit from this knowledge. So we're talking about actually spiritual power. And so you know that we have been talking a lot about the soul and soul consciousness. This is spiritual power. And it's not only spiritual power, but it's actually who we are. And this is the method to overcome all negativity in one's life, all illusions. And as we connect with the Supreme. And you see the picture on the screen. As you make a connection with, whoops, we got ahead a little bit there. Let me go back. But as we make a connection with the Supreme, then he empowers us, he endows us with his clarity, with his purity, with his strength. And so our perceptions change. The way I navigate through the world changes because I have a clearer vision, because I've hooked up with the powerhouse, the ultimate powerhouse. Now, your Wi-Fi isn't going to work if your battery is run down and it's empty, or you're not going to get electricity in your house if the power store has shut down through a hurricane. Well, our powerhouse is our spiritual father, the Supreme Soul. Call him Baba, call him God, call him the greatest, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. And so this is about awakening myself through the connection. And you see the picture on your screen on the left is, let me connect with that one. We know where he is. He's someplace beyond this world, up above and beyond and outward. And just as I'm invisible, he's invisible too. But I know he looks just like me, a point of consciousness, a point of light. And let me start to build that relationship, because, and he gives us this knowledge to build this relationship, because in the knowledge tells us everything about him, how to reach him. Now, you're not going to be able to reach your friend if you lost their phone number, their Zoom number. And so we have our GPS directed straight to God, because he's given us the directions on how to make that connection with him. And so the three most important aspects, please remember these, this knowledge, these three departments: who you are, the soul that has a body. You do not have a soul. Remember that. That was the first key. You are a soul that has a body. So I'm not talking to all of you people out there. This is a school for souls, and I'm talking to you invisible souls out there. And then the second department is our Father, our spiritual Father, where we can take strength and purity and perfection and move back into our state of completion. And then the third part is this play or drama that we're in, so we can understand everything that is happening around us is according to divine order, even if it doesn't seem like it. But we have to have faith that you are a soul. It's a progression, it's a process. And one day you'll wake up and you'll be able to experience yourself totally detached from the body, just as when you go to drive your vehicle, your car, your Tesla, or whatever you're driving. You never think you're the vehicle. You never think you're the Tesla or the Ford. Well, there will be a time as you progress that you will always know that you are the spiritual being. And so the spiritual being who is sitting on a lotus, the spiritual being who has obtained self-sovereignty. So sovereignty over what? Over my thoughts, awakening to my innate virtues, my innate powers, and even my divine manners. And so this is the process. And so now we're going to have our meditation, and we're ready for our meditation. Yes. And so as you look at this image before you, I want you to think and feel yourself mirroring that image. You are sitting there, and that is a picture of you. Think of yourself, you consciousness in that space between your eyes, invisible but profound. Physical eyes cannot see you because you are wearing a veil, the body, but it is you, the soul, that animate your body. And when you leave your body, the body becomes inanimate. It is you, consciousness, soul, that does everything. And when it's time for you to leave your body, your loved ones will say about you, she was such a kind soul. She was such a joyful soul. They will be actually remembering you, the soul, not the body. No one would say, she was a kind body. So consciously, we have forgotten ourselves. But subconsciously, we know who we are. And the subconscious is another level of our consciousness. And so we are awakening that memory of who we are, this brilliance, this living energy of consciousness, the soul. You in the middle of the forehead. You are a star of consciousness. And the more we focus on this aspect, the more peace, the more joy and clarity of thinking, wisdom awakens from within. And you experience your stillness. In your own silence now, just be the silent soul you are. It is you consciousness that is seen through the eyes. It is you, the soul. Om Shanti. So I hope you were able to experience a little bit more about yourself, experiencing the soul and yourself as that spiritual being. Again, as Shireen was saying, as Meredith was saying, it is a practice. And so you're not going to just immediately get it, but you will get it if you have the faith and you keep moving on. So now we're going to our second presentation, and we're going to talk about the 8 spiritual powers. And so, as I said before, it's not military power or power through physical wealth, but as we meditate, we begin to accrue more of these 8 spiritual powers. And there's more than 8 actually, but these are the main ones to reclaim our clarity, our spiritual victory. We can think of these as spiritual arms, but it's not just, the spiritual powers are very subtle. So you can see them, you can read about them, but we have to begin to bring those tools within our life to change the trajectory, the destiny of our life. And it's about implementing these powers into the life stream of our journey. And so taking strength from God, the first requirement is to have yoga with the Supreme. And you may want to take a picture of this, not right now, but when all of the paraphernalia comes on the screen. The first power is the power to pack up, or the power to let go. Yes, to let go of all those non-useful memories of the past that no longer serve us, memories that keep us down, keep us in a downward spin instead of ascending. And also when we let go of these useless memories, for example, maybe something really hard happened to you, painful, and you keep thinking about that. Well, it was so painful the first time. Why do you keep reliving it? So understanding brings us to the place where, yes, why am I reliving it? It was so bad. But as I let it go, I'm able to cultivate a new space to bring in new thinking in myself. So the manifestation of letting go is that you are always present. You learn from the past, you're appreciative in life, you close old chapters, and you replenish the self. Now, if you lack, the sign of lacking this would be you have resentment, you're resentful of past things, you're blaming other people, you feel guilty, you're influenced by the outside, and you're non-meditative. It's difficult to meditate. So if you want to take a shot of that screen, because it's an important screen, we're going to go on to the second power. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything up all at once, just to give you time if you want to take that, because I feel the powers are so important. So the power to cooperate. And I like to think of the power to cooperate as me first. And we always think about me first, of let me be first in line, let me get my choice first. But me first is let me help you. Let me cooperate with you first. Let me do this for you before you do it for me. Sometimes we may think, whoops, something just happened here. Let's see if we can get back on. I think I hit the okay. So the power to cooperate, though, really is a way of allowing people to cooperate with you, because when you become so cooperative, others will just want to cooperate with you naturally. You think about it, who do you want to help and be cooperative with? It's usually the people that have been very cooperative with you. And then we come to the power to discern, to be able to discriminate clearly, to watch my thoughts and weed out the negative, the wasteful thoughts, the thoughts that are going to bring me down, the mundane, and to be able to focus my mind and bringing up thoughts that I can see the highest in others. Because you see, thoughts that I have, whether they're about myself or about others, they are the diet for me, the soul. So even if I think of something negative about someone, that's what my soul is eating. And so the manifestation to practice would be to be able to distinguish, to have the right choices, to predict consequences. Oh my goodness, if I do that, the consequences are going to be this. And to just discard anything useless and to become wise. And you can see when you lack these things that there's loneliness, chaotic, disturbed, a lack of spirituality, and you tend to always be busy, just keeping yourself busy in whatever is happening in the outside world. And then there's the power to judge. And it's interesting because the power to judge comes right after the power to discern. And so just as a judge would hear a case, possibly over months, and then using the power to discern during that time, then comes a time when he has to make the final judgment. And he does that with clarity because he's used his power to discern. So it's not to judge other people. Oh, this one's good, this one's bad, but just to be able to judge and come up with a clear decision after discerning, then to be able to judge and have the courage to follow through whatever you feel your truth is. So with clarity and confidence to assess all situations and to be accurate. And the manifestation would be you take action. So you don't procrastinate, you take responsibility, you choose one path, you're courageous, and there's no return. You're confident about what you've done. And the lack of having the power to judge would be to fluctuate, to postpone, to make many excuses, and to be undecided. Oh, yeah, I didn't do this today because this popped up. You know that story? So let's go on with the next power, the power to face. With the power to face, nothing seems like an obstacle, but rather a stepping stone. Even birth, life, death, it's all equal. And because we know there's no such thing as death, the old death that we were so afraid of, because we know we're souls and the soul is eternal. And just as I would discard the clothing I'm wearing, I would take it off. That's what we do with the bodies. When they become too old to move around, too old to think clearly, then it's time. And we know that there's benefit beyond any immediate challenge. So this power to face gives us this confidence, this courage, and it allows us to meet new people, to be exposed to new ideas, but also to take the consequences sometimes we have to take and enjoy the unknown. And it always is so fine to be curious, because with curiosity, we continually are learning. And then the lack of the power to face is you're fearful, timid, stuck in the past, hide from the truth, and a lack of self-confidence. So let's move into the power to adjust. And just like the ocean merges all that happens, whatever you throw in the ocean, it gets lost. All those tons and tons of plastic in the ocean still there, but we don't see it. And so being able to accommodate, past is past, to accept, encourage the presence of ideas and desires of others. So to accommodate what others, even if their opinions, their views are different than yours, this is the way we learn. If you only exposed yourself to opinions and thoughts that were just like yours, what would you learn? I don't think you'd learn much. So let's go on with the manifestation, is to be able to adjust, to be flexible, to enjoy, accept change, see the best in others, and being confident. And also winning friends. I think I should add that one next time. And a lack of it is I am right. So you're always fighting. You're blaming. You're past dominated. And you're very rigid. And then the power to withdraw, to become like the cool, calm waters of a tranquil stream, to maneuver myself around the rocks and the boulders. So as we go in like the tortoise, we move into that stream, cool stream of just being the soul, filled with peace, filled with clarity, and experiencing my own brilliance, which sheds light on whatever situation. So sometimes we have to withdraw in. So the manifestation would be that I give myself silent time. I'm reflective. I value and enjoy myself. I replenish me, the soul, from the Supreme Soul. And I again move into my wisdom. And a lack of the power of introspection or the power to withdraw is that I'm lonely or chaotic, disturbed, busy all the time, and lack spirituality. And the last power is the power to tolerate. And this power might be the power that most of us probably need to work on. It's an interesting power, and I like to think of it as a bittersweet power, because sometimes it seems bitter or tense, but as we move and we exercise that power, it actually becomes very sweet. It's like a fruit-bearing tree that's unaffected by the storms, by the wind, by the lightning. Nothing disturbs your frame of mind. And so to tolerate, this is the strength that it brings. You stay within your own calm. You created the eye of the storm. The eye of the hurricane is always very peaceful, isn't it? Because that's who we are. And so the manifestation is patience, being able to accept differences, to be confident, prepared, allow others to be and to be different than you. And the lack of it is that you walk around angry, short-tempered, anxious, restless, and have expectations of others. And so there we have our powers. And it was a very brief introduction. It was so brief. And both Shireen and I feel that it's so important that we're going to be creating another program soon just on the powers. And so we are now going to have a meditation on to help us imbibe these powers. So this meditation is just about you, consciousness, you looking through the eyes, but it's you between the eyes, the third eye that's thinking. This is where all your thinking comes from. And so we are going to connect with the invisible being called Supreme Soul, Father, Baba, God, and just image a golden thread from you, the soul, going upward, searching, connecting, visualizing you, the soul, this star, this light, connecting with another star, the light. And in that connection, inviting, being proactive, invoking that light to come to you through visualization, imaging, imagining. Imagine that light filling you, the soul, with perfection, wisdom, peace. Fill yourself. Invoke that energy. Open the doors of your mind. Filling yourself with light and might. And perhaps you can even feel a glow on your face. And a restful heart. Just take a breath, gentle breath in, and say thank you. Fill your heart, your mind with gratitude. Grateful that you've opened yourself to the highest power, the supreme power, the supreme soul. And allowing your own divine nature to emerge. Just keep it coming in, connecting, being with the most benefic being there could ever be, your father, your mother, your best friend. This is Raja Yoga, the highest connection, the king of all connections. And the yoga to become a king of yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, your attitude. To be complete, self-sovereign, the beautiful soul that you were meant to be. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, dear Sister Dorothy. That was a wonderful session and a meditation. And yes, as you said, that we will be starting something on 8 powers. So we'll let you know the details of it later. But now let's open up for the question answer. So if you have any question, please put on in chat and our 2 sisters will take them up. So welcome Sister Dorothy and Sister Shireen.
Om Shanti, everyone. Thank you, Sister Dorothy. That was very, very good. Even I took notes.
It was a speed course.
And so I was wondering, when you first heard about the powers, how did you feel?
I don't know if I can really remember that lesson as such, but just practicing the powers, putting them in my life. So not just reading them, reading about them, but also when I'm in a situation And yesterday, someone jumped on me really bad. And I just stood there. And so that awareness, it just brings strength to the self. You know, I felt it empowered me.
Great.
The
So we
practice.
have a question here. The hardest thing in life is to continue being good to people when those people continue being not good to you. You don't understand why they continue to behave that way when you're being good to them. How can you protect yourself and not feel hurt by their behavior? And how can you learn to tolerate their behavior even though you may not have done anything wrong?
Okay. If I put you on a stage and give you a part to play, and I give your friend, your best friend, maybe your husband, maybe your wife, a part as well, and he has to act mean to you, would you be emotional about that? Probably not, right? You would just say, oh, he's got a mean part to play. Well, remember the three things, the three lessons today that we went over that we have to master: the soul, which is the self, the supreme soul, and my connection with him, and that this is just a play, a drama. It's entertainment. And so once you understand that, oh, look at that person. He's playing his part very well, trying to be mean to me, but I accept what he's doing, but I don't have to accept it emotionally. That makes the difference. Knowing that's his story, that's his part. My part is not to take the emotional component. And we do that unconsciously. We don't do it consciously, because I don't think we would do anything to hurt ourselves consciously. It's mostly unconsciously.
Right, right. So there is a comment here from someone. Thank you for a beautiful and divine experience. And there is a question. It's a kind of a long, and this is our last question, really. Sister, I hope you could summarize on the fact that I'm seeking, that I find it very challenging in my day-to-day life. While I begin to follow the spiritual path of Shiv Baba and become more spiritually soul conscious based, how do I untangle or perform my duties as a mother, spouse, sister, daughter, also keep up with social demands and commitments, though the rest of them might not be doing so, or understand the spiritual path or divinity?
Well, at first, as Meredith was sharing today, her husband was kind of difficult to, get along with her path. But as we begin to, in the beginning, it may seem a little stressful or challenging, not stressful, let's say challenging. But as you keep going further and further, you accrue, you aggregate more power, more wisdom, more self-sovereignty. Sometimes we want it all right now. Why isn't it happening? But you just have to keep meditating, and you must see some progress in yourself, that you feel better at times. I know you must if you've been practicing. And I don't mean just turning on the Zoom on Saturday and say, that's my practice. But as these things are happening, to have the mindset, that's a meditation too, rather than to be reactive, to say, I'm going to respond. I'm an actress. I'm an actor. And I'm going to respond to this mean person who's coming at me right now. That's a meditative process. And so
I was also thinking, Dorothy Ben, that it's about having love. It's about having love for everyone without any kind of attachment. And so it's purifying our love also. And so I feel the whole process of purification, then you don't feel, oh, someone is not doing it, you're doing it. You just do things out of love.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because the power to tolerate does turn into love. It is the ultimate. It's like a mother who is, we say, look at the mother, she's tolerating those peanut butter fingers all over her face and everything, but she's not tolerating. She has so much love for the child, and we can see that when we really love someone, it's easy to accept the things they do more than someone who we may not have as much love. We then think, I've got to tolerate that one. But you're right. I agree with you 100%. It's all about love. So opening your heart up and loving everybody, whatever part they're playing. But you have to understand, it's just a game.
All right, thank you. So let's finish with a moment of silence. Oh, our blessing.
Oh, our blessing. Okay, how wonderful. From the beginning of time's dusk, and this is a blessing from God to you. From the beginning of time's dusk, you wandered in search for me. As darkness grew, your longing to know me also grew. In time's darkest moments, I not only revealed myself, but opened my heart for your return. So if you haven't returned yet, return. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. I was thinking that it's so interesting. It's a couple of weeks ago we started this journey, and we have come so far. It's so beautiful, and I'm sure if you look back, there are so many jewels of knowledge that has been, imbibed in the intellect and must be useful in our lives, right? So thank you so much to, especially to our two sisters, Sister Shireen and Sister Dorothy, and also to the whole team. There are so many angels who are behind the screen. So thank you so much, and especially to all the translators. They had been doing wonderful job without any break and tirelessly. So thank you so much. And of course you, because without you the program is not possible. So thank you for being with us each time and giving that support and love. And here on the screen you're seeing again our link for the YouTube, email address, registration link, and website. So yes, we have many episodes now, so please go back. You can revise, you can listen again. Also, you can share with your families and friends. And also, as we will be finishing this series, I think two or three more, and then we will be starting another one. So Sister Shane will give you more details about that. But soon in next month, we'll be starting new series with 8 powers. So we look forward for that. And with that new series, you can also invite your friends and families. They can take more benefit, as you had taken a lot of benefit from this series. So with experience of yours, you can inspire others. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week, Saturday, same time, 11 to 12. Om Shanti.